right, good morning, Signature.
Good morning.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
Good
Good morning. All right, very good. So we got a great sales meeting for you today. We're going to have some stuff from Janet. Tom's going to drop some nuggets. We had some, that didn't sound right, did it? Golden nuggets. And then we had some people go through the Mike Ferry retreat last week. And they came back and they're on cloud nine and they're working hard and they just seem to be different people. Every time we go to something motivational or training, we always come back with different thoughts, plans, goals, stuff like that. So we thought it'd be neat for them while it's fresh on their head to share some of that information with you guys. And then you guys can ask questions, stuff like that. Maybe we can get some good ideas and things like that we can implement in our business. Obviously, we'll have our mortgage moment with Prosperity Lending. I have an announcement on our new office space and some timelines. And so you guys that are here live get to hear it first, and the ones on the YouTube get the delay, so they'll be about 10 seconds behind you. All right, so first, let's start off with any buyer and seller needs. Anybody got buyer or seller needs in the room? Roya?
I have a condo for sale at 1333 Cinderblock. So it's actually a two-bedroom, 199, 888. And it's beautiful. It's a central location next to Summerlin. So if you guys need a condo, come see me.
Anyone else?
199,888.
Anyone else? Going? Going? Gone. All right, so let's start off. We'll start off with the announcement on the office space. How many of you heard we're moving? Yay, huh? All right, so I want to kind of give you some background on some of the decisions that we made and how the move's kind of going to work and that. We were in a great position at this point, coming out of COVID and stuff, even going in on the timelines of our leases. So if things would have got bad, we would have been in a real good position company-wise to be able to cut space or do whatever. Now then we go through COVID and we find that a lot more people work from home. But I still think there's a necessity for office space. Maybe not 10,000 square feet in each location, maybe a little bit smaller in a couple different locations that make it more convenient for people to pop in and out of. And so when we looked at this, we've always had on our plan to have a Northwest office. And so that would give us Northwest, Summerlin, Southwest, and Green Valley. And when we start looking at this stuff, we're looking at saying how the valley's kind of shifted and where people live and where it makes sense to put an office. And we've in looking at it, we want to do a really nice office up in the Northwest. I think it's prime for 100% company like ours to go up there and to add our services to agents that live and work up there. We've got plenty of agents in our offices now that drive down, but Gail, lots of people commute, and the other benefit is I just moved up there, so it makes sense to have an office up there, right? Now I sympathize with you guys. Now, it's always been one of our plans. But then when you look and you say, okay, the cost of running offices can be pretty significant, and in an attempt to always try to keep your guys' transaction fees down and not raise fees and all that stuff, we have to make decisions on placement of offices. And we thought, what if we could take the Summerlin office and the Southwest office and consolidate them more into a central location between the Summerlin and Southwest, merge those two, we'd have 3 strategic locations, Northwest, the West Side office, and then the Green Valley office. And so that's the direction we've kind of been looking. And we've identified a space in the Northwest. We have not signed a lease on. We're still negotiating out build-out and stuff like that. It will start its shell right now. So it would be a total build-out. So Northwest, all things go right, we're looking at end of the year to open the Northwest location. Excited about it because it'll be something, a vision that we've had for a long time of actually consolidating kind of a coffee shop into the office. So you almost have that Starbucks, coffee shop, deli feel along with your office, so there'd be a great place to meet clients, stuff like that, to hang out, and then after 5, it might turn into a wine bar or something. But it would be open 24 hours because the building that it's in has employees that work in that building 24/7. And so that would operate all the time, except from our office. Give you guys a great opportunity, or agents that work up there, to have great opportunity to network with other people in the building in other industries for an opportunity to farm, so to speak, and sell real estate. So we're excited about that. But we have signed a lease on a space in the southwest or the west side location. It's a little bit further south than I initially wanted to come, but when we saw the space and the layout, it's just perfect. And so the location, I'll give you the address, and I'll tell you where it's at. It's 8912 Spanish Ridge Avenue, Suite 220. It's right off of Russel and the frontage road over here, and it's the old mortgage space. So if you've ever been in there, it's really nice. There's a great training room. It's laid out real nice. Currently, there's 12 offices, but we have a plan that we could build out another 7 in that space. So there'll be plenty of room for everyone to go. Now, we'll do the move kind of staggered as we get this open. We should have the keys any day. They've been promised us since the 15th, so we don't know. But we'll take the month of August basically to paint, get the internet in there. Tom's guaranteeing that it's going to be high-speed, best internet in town. I said, well, I know Cox, and I'm not sure. But we'll, having our IT guys go in, laying out the Wi-Fi points and all that kind of stuff so that when we go in there, it's turnkey and ready to go. There's some painting and some little bit of updating needs to go in there, but it's really, really good. Currently, there's a bunch of cubicles in there, and I hate cubicles if you've known me. But these cubicles are a little bit different. Because they all have stand-up, raise-up desks. They're all high-tech. They're real nice. I'm not sure if we're going to keep them or not. The 7 offices that I speak of would go where those cubicles really are. And so we're initially going to move in there with those and see if those are something you guys like to utilize, not utilize, and then we'll make that adjustment from there because we feel that the lease space on this location here is up at the end of December. So we'll do 2 staggered moves. We'll move the Summerlin office in there first, and then we'll bring Southwest in, but at that point, we'll know if we need to add those other offices or how that lays out. Make sense? Okay? As soon as we can get in there and get access to it, we'll have some kind of a little open house type thing where you guys can come in and preview it and see it and all that kind of stuff. And maybe you'll be as excited as we are. So, any questions on new space, move, anything like that, Janet?
Any hints about northwest location? Any hints?
Durango and the 215. Okay? I'll tell you straight up, we're negotiating to go into the Monteseto Building. Okay, it's not done, but I'm confident we'll get that done. It's the same building owner in the space that we just rented, has that space too. So we've got a good working relationship with them. There's just, the biggest hurdle for that has been the cost of materials to do the build out. And so we've been searching and getting pricing and all kinds of stuff like that to work out the final numbers to make that thing happen. But I think that'll be a great location, easy to get to, close to the freeway, and that gives us the accessibility in the north, the west, and the south. Any other questions? The wait is over. All right. So with that, let's bring up prosperity lending, I believe.
There's a question.
Question
Yes?
online. What will we need to do with our licenses if we are in the Summerlin Southwest office?
Who is it?
The license.
Jen Savage.
And Sevi. So, great question. She says, what are we going to have to do with our licenses to do that? So, we actually still have space in the Summerlin office till the end of November, and so there's no mad rush to move everybody's licenses south. But when we moved the north, we had a little satellite before we moved it once before, and there was 10 or 15 people in there. All we had to do is actually put them all on a sheet with their licenses, return their licenses to the division, pay $20, and they send it back. So I'm hoping it's going to be the same thing, which is no headache for you guys. We'll take care of all of that, but we'll keep you posted on that. The other only issue will be, and this is for the people in the Summerlin office, is we will be moving out of the city into the county, which means it's a county business license.
I just paid.
But so we'll work through that. But for the Southwest office, you're in the county, it's all smooth in transition, but we'll take care of the address change.
So all offices will be Henderson and Clark County.
Yes.
Can you get us those addresses as soon as you can, so those of us like me that need to get new cards can...
The address is 8912 Spanish Ridge Avenue, Suite 220. Okay, that's for the Southwest office. We won't be moving in Northwest for quite some time.
Get a zip.
I'll get the zip for you. Yeah.
It's 89113, I would guess.
Yeah, we're in 89113 now, so it's pretty close to there. So, all right. Anything else?
What will happen to the managing brokers in the 2 offices?
They will be executed. No, that's a great question. I should have covered that. That's going to be an exciting thing. So, Tom's kind of a rookie, and so we need to pair him with somebody with some experience. No, Janet and Tom served on the board together. She was president, he was president-elect. They make a great team, and we are going to consolidate not only the agents, but the 2 brokers and staff into that office. With that office, bring in 200-plus agents from Summerlin and 100 and some odd agents from the southwest here. There's no way one broker should or could handle that. And so we felt it's important to have the support staff and the brokers there, so we'll have both of them there to support. Okay? Any other questions? Nope?
Nope.
All right. All right, so with that, let's bring up Jason from Prosperity Lending for our mortgage moment.
Thank you. Hopefully everybody's having a good morning. What we always want to do for this is try to give you as much knowledge and things to help you out in the field as possible. So I'm thinking today is, how many people saw the inflation reports last week? Anybody in the room? Yeah, it was quite interesting to say the least. It was almost the exact same numbers as they reported right before a crash of 2008. One thing that everybody's worried about right now is, does that mean that we're in a bubble? Are we crashing? Yada, yada, yada. I'm definitely not going to try to answer that question because it's extremely complex and there's a lot of high opinions on that. But what I will say is this, is that our bond market is staying right around like that 103, 104 range. Our 10-year treasury went down and our rates are starting to go back down again. Also, our products are getting a little bit more and more aggressive. As you've heard me talk about the stated income program, you've heard about the doctor program, and recently Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac lowered their restrictions on cash out refinances. They were adding a surcharge because of market instability, and they've recently waived that. And FHA has actually recently brought down the student loan debt from a 1% surcharge if you have deferment on your student loans down to 0.5 point, which is a huge help for our people that have massive student loans. That could have lowered their debt-to-income ratio significantly, and they might be able to qualify. And there's still Home is Possible programs and everything out there. So when anybody brings up how the market is doing, how the inflation reports came in, yada, 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 at least from a mortgage and real estate perspective, we're not only holding, but we're also getting more aggressive. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Just wanted to do my minute, and hope you guys like using us and continue to do so. Thanks for the time.
Yada, yada, yada. Technical term. All right. Which one of you two want to go first? Tom's scared. See, we'll bring Janet up, but Tom got cut off last week, right? Ran out of time. He's trying to go last, but we're going to make sure he gets time. Here you go, Janet.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Just want to elaborate like 1 second on what Brandon said. I know Brandon hates cubicles. He's always hated cubicles. I learned everything I know about real estate from sitting in a cubicle with people around me. But these cubicles, he didn't do them really justice. There's this huge desk with an electric button that you push, and it goes up, and you can stand up. Or it goes down, and you can sit down. But then over here on the side is lots and lots more, for lack of a better term, counter space. Underneath the counter, 2 locking file cabinets. And then it's glass, so that should help with the conversation. And there's a lot of them. They're really, really nice.
And now we just picked Janet's office.
I don't mind sitting out.
Which cubicle do you want?
Right out front.
I don't mind that at all. I want to be there where when people walk in, I can say, good morning. So, hey. Okay, first thing I need to talk about is bowling. So thank you, Annie Bushman, who has an entire team already, but not counting Annie's team, as of this moment, we have 16 bowlers. The last time we bowled, Signature had 10 teams. That's well over 50 people. So here's the deal. It's fun, it's networking, it's giving back to the community. It's $25, Friday the 30th at Sunset Station, 9 to 12. Be there early in time to get your shoes, get your ball. I'm turning all the money in on Thursday afternoon. So you have till Thursday to get me your $25. No $25, you're not signed up. I'm right here. I'll be back here on Friday. You can leave it with Bobby at the front desk if I'm not in the office. So there you go. Bowling, we need you. Okay, tomorrow, Summerlin's having a lunch and learn on probate. This is with a different attorney that I've never heard before. It's 11 to 12. I've put some flyers out. So far, I have no RSVPs, and the person sponsoring it has bugged me. I need to know how many for lunch. I need to know how many for lunch. So please RSVP with Bobby at my front desk so that we know. If we weren't having lunch, we wouldn't care about that, but so we don't want lunch for 3 if there's 50 people show up, and vice versa. So that's tomorrow. Also tomorrow at 10 o'clock, there's a CE class in Green Valley, legislative law. This is Joe's Super Bowl legislative law class. I've taken it over Zoom, and it really was kind of fun over Zoom. So I can imagine that it's lots of fun in person.
What time? 10?
10. Thursday, Todd will be here at Southwest teaching a lead follow-up class, 11 o'clock, Thursday, right here. Friday, I'll be right here at 10 o'clock teaching common mistakes in the RPA. And then just a couple of other announcements. Monday, Tom will be at Summerlin at 10:30 teaching, is there a better way to prospect? So lots of education coming up in the next week. But there will be an MVHC class here, July 28th, 9 to 4. This is everything you need to know about VA loans. I've taken this course years ago. It's taught by Scott Robinson and Ernie Gonzalez, who are both kind of dynamic in their own little way and know everything about VA loans. And the cost is $99, but you get 8 hours. 8. You need 36 now, come October. You get 8 hours of CE. So RSVP to Ellie, our own Ellie Morris. And here's the most important thing I have to say. So, when you don't pay your fees at LVR, the broker can go in and check their office. I can only check my office. So last week I thought about who hasn't paid their key fees. And I couldn't check because Rapatoni was down and it didn't recognize that anybody was a member. So I checked yesterday, and in my office I have 10 people who did not pay their $200 key fees that were due July 1st. So here's the deal. You must pay your key fee before July 25th, which just gives you a couple of days. You now owe $200 if you haven't paid, plus a $50 late fee. So now you owe $250 to get your key reinstated. But if you don't pay before the 25th, you're going to have to pay another $250 to get your key reinstated. So if you didn't pay your MLS key fees, no, sorry, just your key fees, that's through membership, not MLS. If you didn't pay your key fees by July, 1st of July, and you don't pay them before the 25th of July, it's going to cost you $500 to reactivate your fee. So please take that to heart. And then, oh, by the way, it's mandatory that if you belong to LVR, you have to pay for a key fee. So if you don't pay, guess what? We have to send your license back to the division, or else they'll shut off our entire office. And we don't want that to happen.
That happened during my year.
What? Yeah, Tom was responsible for voting that in. So, that was his raid, not mine. So, lots going on the next week. Take advantage of what we have to offer because except for the VA class, which is not under our control, everything's free. Take advantage of it. So, next, Tom.
And now someone else is getting on.
What did you think, I was gonna slip coming up here? Oh, so, before we get to the really good stuff, about the Mike Ferry and good stuff like that, I just wanted to take some time. Everybody's so worried about compression of commissions and stuff like that because y'all don't know how to create value. Y'all don't think that just being you is value enough for them to pay whatever it is that you want to charge for a commission. You know, in the book, Ninja Selling, which if you haven't known, I've been reading, but they talk about a blank CD is worth about 50 cents. But you put some real estate sales thing on it, all of a sudden you can sell it for thousands of dollars because you created value by putting something into it that it didn't have that somebody wants. Somebody that satisfies somebody's pain point or somebody's pleasure, right? So, because those are the two things basically we pay for. If you boil everything down, whether it be liquor advertisements, any kind of advertisements, they talk about two things. They either fix a pain point, i.e. Excedrin pain relief for your massive headache, or pleasure. Drink this bud and feel better, right? You know, that's it. That's all that you need to sell when you're selling out there, is taking care of their pain points and pleasure points. And pain points, right? Let's think of some pain points that homeowners have, whether or not they can sell their house at the time frame they want to do it. You know, the stress that you can relieve from them. Satisfying something that they need that you can help provide. That's your value. Okay, that's your value proposition. Everybody that's out there right now basically does what? They have a price opinion, yard signs, lock boxes, MLS, property brochure, advertising, syndication, scheduling, showing appointments, settlement services. Those are the basic services that garner what used to be really good service. But nowadays, that's the minimum requirement. That barely gets you to whatever, right? Because some people sell that at 1 banana, 6 bananas, who the heck knows? But just know that that's basic. And unless you're adding value and making yourself different by how you even approach the whole deal, i.e. Having a pre-listing, I'm going to give away all your secrets, V.
It's all right, I do it better than you.
I know. You know, having a pre-listing packet, a detailed written marketing plan. Who adds that in their listing presentation right now? One person. Is she on your team? Well, I know. Everything I'm going to read you do, I know. I should have called this Bond and his Nuggets. You know, but I mean, professional photography, a 4-page color brochure versus the BS black and white one that you pull off of MLS, the enhanced internet listings with more photos and videos, an individual property website. We can get those so easily from the title company and stuff, right? I mean, it's something really simple to do. Visual pricing tools. I saw the greatest thing. Has anybody used a visual pricing tool? Probably wondering, what the hell is a visual pricing tool, right? All it does is it takes the data from the MLS and puts it into nice charts and graphs so that people that are visual like it, see it, and they can, they'll think you're great because now you're talking to them. You know, the analytics, they just want the data. But some people are visual because of the different kinds of personalities that are out there. So that's a whole nother class. You know, maximum exposure marketing, specialized reports for the seller or buyer. And then you can get into your even more custom services that you provide, which is pre-inspection, staging services, professional measurement by an appraiser, kitchen counter displays with pre-inspection information, utility information, school information. Who sets up their house with the kitchen table and the kitchen counter to have all the stuff about the area of the house that you're trying to sell? Imagine walking in and having they've already had it inspected. You already know what's wrong with this house. Right now, if you had an inspection, it was a shitty inspection. You know, you want to get it fixed and have it re-inspected again before you put it out for everybody. But let's, just want to make sure you all understand that one. Okay? Don't set yourself up for failure by putting up a shitty inspection report for everybody to view. But, you need to think about these things, and these are really simple items that set yourself apart. And then, how do you communicate it? How do you communicate it to that client that you have all this value because you do all these things? If you're telling them, you're selling them. But if you show them, it'll go over 110%. So put yourself together a one-page check-off stuff of all the services that you provide. And then have, company A, company B, and have them just check off the A, right, the first part, the stuff that everybody does. So that they can see a visual, again, people are visual as well. They can see it, they'll believe it because now it's in print, even though you printed it up and made it. It doesn't matter. So, look, to sum it up, and I don't know how many, I could go a lot longer, but I won't. Okay. Look, do yourselves a lot of favor. Let the client have time of possession of the conversation so that you can learn from them. Talk less, show more, and show them the value that you have when you come in the door that you all bring to the table. All right? Thanks.
Thanks, It's hard when you got a lot of information, you got to get out in like 3 or 4 minutes. But so to unpack that a little bit, no. Vonna is going to come up and just do an announcement about a class she's doing as well. So, Vonna.
Perfect. It was like a perfect segue. Look at me, double mics again. So the one thing I want to say, just one thing. We are actually doing ninja selling, both Shelly and I. We start August 31st. It will be held in this office. It is 1.5 hours for 4 weeks, every single week for 4 weeks, starting August 31st. And we will go through each one of the principles with you. If you've done it before, it's okay. You can do it again because every time you do it, you get re-energized. That's the whole point, right? Come here, fill up your gas tank, get out there, and vroom. Everybody got that, right? Okay, that's it. That's all I got.
Perfect.
So sign-ups are on the Facebook page.
A great class, great class.
Yes, our Salt Lake office lives by ninja selling Larry Kindle like the Bible. I mean, they study it, they role play, they do the whole thing. Get in flow, it's one of the terms, right? And they've all traveled to see Larry Kindle and stuff. We got lucky in Denver. We got to actually sit at a table with him for a minute. Did you learn anything?
Always.
No. No, he's very quiet, very reserved. He's reserved, which is a neat thing because he's able to put together a system, be very, very successful. And he's not the most outgoing guy there is. But if you've been through the academy, we teach you prospecting and stuff like that. This is client relations. It ties right into it. It's a full package, and I think it's something that everyone should implement in their business. And so sign up for that, and let's pack that class. And then, so without further ado, let's get to the main event. We've got April, Tyson, and Lizette. Is it April, right? Come on up. Come on up. You guys just looked at me like you didn't know what. All right. So these guys took last week, it was an entire week, right?
Yes.
So they
5
took
days.
an entire week to go to Mike Ferry's Superstar Retreat. Who's been to Mike Ferry's Superstar Retreat before? Did you guys go this year? You went, Ronnie went, awesome. So you can answer some questions too. Why didn't you guys go this year, by chance? Disneyland? Yeah, that's more fun, right?
Isn't it the same thing?
Yeah, it's the same thing. So last year, who went last year? Okay, because it was virtual last year. It was virtual last year, right? We had to rent it here. So that was Tyson's first, and your first exposure to it.
Yeah, like 1 or 2 of the days.
Yeah, okay, and you,
That was my second retreat.
so you'd been to it live before,
Yes, I have.
so you've been 3 times. And so you'd go back,
Yes.
right? All right, so there's value in it, and that's why we've got them up here to talk. So when Chris said, hey, we'll have them up, we'll ask them about the retreat and stuff, I thought, since I wasn't there this year, I really don't know what to ask them, so we'll just start out, what time did you guys arrive? I'm just kidding.
8:25?
No, what is
Very
it?
early.
Yeah, let's start with this. What is it that made you want to go to the retreat? Because it's a week out of your business to go.
For me, it's a restart of my mindset. Because I think mindset, everything starts with mindset. It was a reminder of what I need to do for my business, how I need to treat my business, and to start each day with gratitude.
Okay, Dyson?
So mine was very similar, and I think they're strategically planned to be in the middle of the year and the beginning of the year. So you kind of go through the beginning of the year, everything's great, and then you get to a mid-year point. So for me, it was just kind of a way to just kind of reinvigorate and kick back off and get back into the groove of things.
I'll be different. Peer pressure. I had Tyson and Tanya and Chris going, you need to go. You need to go.
Right?
That's it.
Okay, where was it held?
The Venetian.
So it was at the Venetian, which is right here in town. How many agents were there?
Was it
2,600?
2,600?
So
And
2,000.
1,000 online.
From all over the country and even Canada. It's a great networking opportunity as well.
So that's the key. So 2,600 people, and they weren't all from Vegas. So a lot of other people traveled in. So we have this tremendous opportunity to go to the retreat. What was it, a couple $100?
Yes.
Yes.
With a discount,
With
it
a
was
discount.
$250.
Okay, so a couple $100, you get to go. You don't have to pay for a room. You don't have to have travel. I mean, it's a tremendous opportunity for us to have Mike Ferry right here in town. So when you see these events, keep that in mind. That people are paying big bucks to come all the way out here, so there's value in it, right? Let's see. So, what was the biggest major takeaway you got from the event? Just brief. You don't have to go into it deep. Just give me something like a one-sentence thing.
Schedules. Your schedule.
Work from the schedule.
Work from a schedule, period.
Mine would be the possibilities, like thinking bigger and not just playing small.
Okay.
Mine was actually a question. It was, am I good or is the market good?
That's interesting, right? Because right now, what do you see on Facebook? People selling homes in what? 1 day, 2 hours, multiple offers. How great am I? Right? Is it the agent that's great or is it the market that's great? Right? What makes a great agent? Let's go to you guys. What do you think makes a great agent?
Like Tom said, bringing value, asking the right questions, making the customer feel important. They don't care if you think their house is pretty or what you did the day before. They want to feel important and you're solving a problem for them.
Perfect.
Along with what she said, the communication factor in it. I think it's been reiterated even during the conference that the #1 complaint of buyers and sellers is lack of communication with the agent.
Okay.
I'd say communication and being calm through the whole transaction. Like you should be calm through the whole thing, even when it's falling apart or anything like that. It's really important for you to step back, take yourself out of it, and be calm through the whole thing because you'll find out that if you're calm, you'll find the solutions that you need to make it go forward, or if you just need to walk away, it's okay to walk away.
Great point. So being calm, we talk about there's two reactions you can have basically when something goes wrong. And most of us have a reaction. We react to something or explode. Right? This is about taking a step back, a breath, being calm, and being able to respond to the issue in the right way. And I'll tell you, the #1 complaint that we get as brokers about any agent comes down to communication. Almost every complaint that comes to us could have been solved with better communication. And more times than not, it's because something's going bad and we're scared to call them. But I'm going to tell you, that's the #1 skill that agents really need to get good at. If you communicate well, you'll get referrals, you'll get business, you'll have happy clients. And the other thing is when we talk about good agents or good market, this market will shift. How many of you have been in a market where the listings took over 3 months to sell? Over 6 months to sell? There's some communication that has to happen with that seller, would you agree? Because nothing's happening, no one's showing the house, you get no offers, you're not that great anymore, right? The market's not that great. And so communication, so it's a skill we develop now for the future, and it'll help us a lot through that process. Did everyone, how much time did they spend on talking about prospecting?
Every single day, every hour of every day.
It was all about looking for new business, right? All right, so what would be like your major takeaway when they talk about prospecting? Is there anything you could take away from this conference or any words of advice you could give anybody on prospecting?
So I guess mine would be, you know, everybody says they don't have the time to prospect or the time to make phone calls and they're wrapped up in their business, right? But when you sit there and then you see, you know, people getting up on stage that do anywhere from 100 and 200 deals, and they sit on the phone or they prospect for 4.5, 5 hours. So my biggest takeaway from that was like, you know, you can do more as long as you stick to your schedule and everything. But if top producers doing that many deals can call for 4.5, 5 hours, then I have no complaints. You know, I can't complain.
I would agree, it comes down to schedule and mindset and doing the activities that are income producing. So you have to ask yourself several times a day, is what I'm doing right now income producing?
So would you say the majority of the people there had a focus on generating income rather than just servicing deals,
Absolutely.
right?
Oh, I was just going to say, one of the big things they say is follow the plan. Prospect, lead follow-up, setting appointments, and negotiating contract. Everything else should be delegated.
Okay?
You know, on that, one of the other things that there was an agent there that was talking about and asked the question was like, you know, I'm doing X amount of deals and I'm at every single closing, signing with my buyers or whatnot, and asked the question, should I be at that closing? Because that's not income producing, right? You're already at the end of the deal. And they literally said, no, because if you're trying to do 40 deals a month or whatever your case is, you don't have the time to sit there for 2.5 hours to go through that signing when you can be 2.5 hours of prospecting. It's a huge mindset shift.
And I would just like to add one more thing onto that, because everybody likes to, you know, provide 100% service, be there for their clients and everything, but they use it as an example of your dentist or your doctor, right? When you go to get a checkup, they have the CNA or the dental assistant, they come, they do everything for you, and then the doctor comes in, sets the expectations there for about 4 minutes, but you still remember the doctor if they're good enough and they keep you informed. So it's not, you don't have to be there through every single point to be and give good service.
Okay. You have anything to add to that?
Nothing to add.
All right. All right, so prospecting is the #1 thing they do every single day. Would you say that the majority of the agents there at the conference, at least the producing agents, knew their numbers?
Yes, you have to know your numbers and you have to know the market stats. You have to be the expert.
And so what kind of numbers, your numbers, what kind of numbers would those be? What numbers should you know? I know the market stats, you should know those, right? But you're tracking what?
You're tracking your GCI, you're tracking your sales, you're keeping track, your goals. You should have a goal number that you have set, and you should be watching that all the time. If you have to put it on an Excel spreadsheet, the simplest form, that's what you do.
Just to add on to that, everyone they brought up to the stage was able to tell you right there how many contacts it takes to get an appointment, how many deals they have, what they're on track for, how many pending and closed. They have all of it down. And he even made a joke that the analytical personality was some of the people who succeed the best in real estate because they're so involved in the numbers. So every single one they brought up there was able to tell you exactly down to a T everything.
You guys covered that very well.
So your numbers, your contacts, your appointments, how many appointments you've gone for a listing, they're basically your ratios. Once you know your ratios, you can do calculations to determine how many sales you need to make in order to hit your income goals. It's really a mathematical equation, and then it's just staying consistent to the activities to get there. And one of those activities is follow-up, right? What did they put any stress on importance of follow-up, and how much time a day you should spend doing it?
No, you got it.
Okay, so they They did make it a point for the follow-up, but if you look through the Mike Ferry scripts and stuff like that, he's very specific on the follow-up. I think the biggest thing I took away from the follow-up is, what are you doing with the follow-up? Like when you're having these conversations, are they motivated? Are they an actual lead? Or are you just kind of entertaining this conversation? So not wasting time on the follow-up and being able to identify, and are you asking for the appointment every time you follow up?
So having a purpose to call with a goal at the end of it is to move them forward.
Yes, they're bringing value to the call.
100%.
And if you're bringing value, they're more likely to do what?
Work with you.
Or answer the phone, right? Because if they see you calling, you always call with no value, they're less likely to respond. Did they talk about how many times you have to follow up with somebody traditionally to get them to?
Was it 8? 7? I thought it was, yeah.
So 7 to 8
or
times?
8.
So how many of us are, and you don't have to answer this, but how many of you really follow up with somebody that many times? I mean, we get an internet lead, we send them an email, they didn't respond, that's a dumb lead, they didn't respond. But yet, we're hearing here that it's 7 to 8 times before you're actually going to turn them into a client. It's probably a lot more than that before you even, that's probably contacts with them. It's probably more than that before they even respond, based on their motivation. You said the biggest takeaway was schedule. What specifically about schedule can you share with people, or that you're implementing now that you didn't have in your business before?
So because they actually drilled it in your head that if you had a schedule and you worked your schedule, then you would find that you actually would have a lot more free time, right? So a lot of us say, okay, yeah, we work 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, but how much of that are you actually spending time working, or are you doing the fluff stuff in between, right? So one of the other things that was brought up, one of the gentlemen talked about the miracle morning. So I started listening to that, and it was very enlightening for me, because I used to always wake up like at 4:30 in the morning, I'd work out, and I did a whole bunch of things that were for me. So I actually broke down my schedule to actually take in and do a miracle morning portion. And what I found, just even in these last 2 days, literally my energy level is huge. I do things that are for me first, and it may be, and it's just right now just an hour in the morning, and that hour in the morning is like 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of affirmations, 10 minutes of exercise. It's nothing huge, but that hour that's just for me has set me up to be more open to everything else that I do. So my schedule, literally, I'm a 5:30 to 6:30 is my miracle morning. 6:30 to 7 is Bacardi time. No, that's not the drink, it's my dog, okay? I have 1 hour, 7 to 8 for breakfast and getting dressed. I arrive at the office at 8:30. 8:30 to 9 is script practice, 9 to 12 prospecting, and my day is done at that point. Follow-up, appointments or whatever, but I know that at noon, my business day is complete. So that is my goal, to keep on track. I don't have a problem with working more, but why work more if you've done everything? If everything's in line, wouldn't you rather go noon to 6 or 8 with your family and doing the things that you want to do? That's what it brought to me.
The one thing I would just like to add on the schedule thing that really stood out to me too is they said your schedule is more important than the deal, right? Because your schedule allows you to earn more business, generate more business, and that fire that you have to put out, it's going to be there at 9, it's going to be there at 10, it's going to be there at 11, it's going to be there at noon. So don't break your schedule just to put out the fire, because it's still going to be there.
Just to kind of sum up schedule, schedule keeps your foot on the gas all day.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
That's it right there.
The other thing with the fires, we always want to be the one that puts out the fire. But I've found over the years that sometimes the fire department will show up. And what I mean by that, there are other people in the transaction besides yourself, and other people will solve that by the time you get to it sometimes. So if it's something you're going to have to do, yes, it'll be there. And if it's something that somebody else can do, it'll get done. And so it's important to just stay strict to your schedule. Your schedule is your life. How about coaching? What was kind of the emphasis on coaching? Why would somebody coach? Because obviously they're there to sell their coaching, right? And all the top people on stage obviously pay for the coaching,
Yep.
right? And so did they talk about coaching? The people that act, not Mike Ferry himself, I'm sure he's going to say it's great, but the people that are in the coaching, what did they say?
It was accountability.
Okay.
I'm not personally coached. I go to the retreats, like I said, as a kickstart, but those that are coached, the one thing that I took from that was accountability.
So on the coaching, and they gave us a book of the Superstar Blueprint. So all the agents that got up on stage that do 100+ deals a year, they laid out blueprints, and every single one of them had coaching, right? So if you look at other industries, right, professional sports, they have coaches. All these other industries have coaches. So it wasn't directly like Mike Berry just sitting there the whole time preaching, get my coaching. But if you look around, the people that were successful and were being coached was the difference, and he outlined it. He said the Mike Berry agents that went through coaching, they averaged 50 deals a year versus the industry, which is at 5.
She's got it. All right, database. Did they spend any time on database?
Actually, yes. So it was a little bit surprising because a lot of people who maybe they don't know the whole Mike Berry system is hardcore aggressive prospecting. But he did spend some time on database and how to nurture that. And it was about, I think, 60% of your business should come from your database, and then 40% about is getting new business. So he even said, and what's been preached by Chris and other people in the company too, is start off your day making those database calls. Call, even if you just start calling 7 or 5 or 3, just make a couple of calls to the database.
I actually wrote this down because it resonated with me when they talked about database, and they said that database is a form of insurance for your business, and it creates residual income.
One of the things they actually put together was if you take like your average commission, whatever that is, and you divide it by 10%, that is what each person in your database is worth to you each year. So depending on how big your database is, that could be your income for the year. So if you just take that and look at it, and I mean, there were some people that were throwing up some pretty big numbers, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it wasn't big numbers in their database, it was big numbers in their commission. So, you start to filter out people as to, everybody obviously has a value, but you filter them out into the whole point of where you want to be and where you're going.
So did they talk about any specific CRM or anything that they use? Did you talk to, because part of the benefit of being there too is networking with other agents and asking questions as you're there and learning from them. Did you guys get any pointers on CRMs or anything?
The only one that mentioned a CRM was Zach, and he said that he was more of the follow-up boss. There was another gentleman too that he uses follow-up boss for his team because he was more on the listing side, the producer, and so he was the one that actually fed everything to his team, and the follow-up boss allowed him to be able to have a coordinator that went ahead and took all those leads and filtered them to the individual people on his team. So he knew who was doing what, when, and all that, but he didn't have to do it. He had a manager that actually did it for his team.
How much time do they spend on goals and business planning?
Yeah, it's kind of implemented throughout the whole program.
Right, so they actually took it and they would mention it, okay, you need to know where you're going, what's your path. They didn't drill it hard, but everything else that you were dealing with, because if you're prospecting, you need to know how many you need to do to get whatever to face your goal, but it wasn't necessarily a drilled aspect on the retreat,
Okay. But would it be fair to say that everybody there that was a producer knew exactly what they wanted?
Absolutely,
100%.
without a doubt.
So they knew where they wanted to go, and that's how they're able to get to where they want to go, right? Okay. How about what did they say about role play and practice?
Mandatory.
Yes. Every day you have to practice, develop your skills. You have to learn what to say, and that's part of prospecting, and including knowing your market stats. So just developing your skills.
And one thing he added to it, because he was talking about how to be a great presenter, and then the canned listing presentations and all the scripts and everything like that, is once you know and you can internalize the scripts, that's when you can start to insert your personality and some humor into that. But again, like Zach, who they brought up from Pennsylvania, he's on track this year for 140 deals, and he said when he first started, he was doing about 2 hours of role play a day.
And they even mentioned that the fact that we all know that learning a script, boredom, right? You're like reading a script. But they said to embrace that, like embrace the boredom, get through it, spend the time, because then it becomes second nature. Then all of a sudden you're just able to roll with it. Like, you know, I know that if you guys talk to like Brandon or Chris or whatever, and they go, oh yeah, just tell them this, and they're like, blah, 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 and you're like, how the hell did you come up with that? You know, so it's really important, just grab onto that board and just keep on running with it.
So would you say that the producers are scripted?
Absolutely.
100%.
You think any of them wing it?
Nope.
No.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for them? Any secrets you want to know? You already know this stuff, don't you? The interesting thing is that it's so simple, but so hard. Why is it so hard for us? Why do you guys think it's tough to do that? Why do you think you have to go back every year or every 6 months to get refreshed?
You have to learn how to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I think that's the hardest part for a lot of us in this industry. When we have to pick up the phone and call a client, it's uncomfortable, and so you have to get comfortable with that. And you also have to learn, sometimes you have to accept rejection. You're not going to get them all.
Okay.
I think one of the big things that stood out too is he was just like most new agents, they come to the business, they want to market and brand themselves, right? But what they should really be doing is working on their skills. And like you said, it can be boring sitting and doing role play and being on the phones and everything. But those skills you garner is what will set you apart from the rest.
And I know April mentioned it earlier, mindset being huge. I know I've only been in the industry a year, in August. And when I went to school, you know, everybody told you, as a new agent, you're not going to make any money for the first 18 months. You're not going to do this, and it's in the back of your head. Well, when I got into the industry, I used to be in corporate events. Corporate events went away with COVID, right? And so me coming into real estate, I was like, okay, I can do this because it's my own business. I can jump into it. I can start making money. Meanwhile, everybody's kind of going, you're not going to do it for the first 18 months. It wasn't acceptable for me. So I just jumped in and I'm running, right? And I get my first deal and I get my second deal and I keep on going. And then I turn to my mentors and I'm like, am I doing okay? Like, I feel like I suck, you know? And then they turn to me and they're like, no, you're doing great. Because again, most agents don't do anything for their first 18 months. And then at that point I was like, really? Well, dang, I'm pretty awesome because right now I'm sitting at like 6, right? So then I kind of set back on my laurels and I'm like, yeah, I'm great. But what did I do? I just hurt myself because my goal was to do 12 and then I changed my goal to do 24 and now I'm sitting at a point where I'm like, when we were in Mike Ferry, I was like, okay, I guess I have 17 to go for the rest of the year. Let's kick it up because I know I can do it. Complete mindset. That's it.
Did they give you any pointers on helping with mindset?
Oh yeah, there's like a
Yeah.
whole list.
One thing I would like to share, because that was one of my really big takeaways from the event, is I wrote it down here somewhere, but he said one of the 13 rules was 51% of the time to be optimistic. If you can be optimistic at least 51% of the time, then you come up on top. And he made the observation that realistically nobody can be optimistic 100% of the time, but as long as you're above that 50%, then you're doing good.
Okay.
Well, there's basically they were talking. Everything is basically your millionaire mindset, and so 10 really quick tips. Number 1, make the decision that you're going to be positive and participate every single day. Understand that when the body is in motion, the mind will follow. Prospect every day, even though you don't feel like it. Number 3, be calm, cool, collected, and under pressure. Things are going to happen out of your control. Just be calm. Number 4, a clear vision. The millionaire mindsets actually have a clear vision of where they want to go and who they have to attract to get them there. Number 5, have strong values and work on values, build power. Basically, what do I value? Write it out and also let people know that you value them because they'll get you where you need to go. They also think and act on big goals. They get comfortable being uncomfortable, and they thrive on discomfort. Number 7, it's not the bad situation or the challenge in life. It's how you look at the situation or the challenge. So you have to look at it from a perspective of what did I learn so I can get better next time. Everything's a growth opportunity. Number 8, have no drama and fail forward. Anybody needs explanation on that? Okay. Because the first time I heard it, I was like, fail what? Oh. Number 9, use the 5-minute rule. Life is full of disappointments. GOI, get over it, right? And number 10, be humble. Humility is a huge aspect.
Sweet, thank you. All right, so you guys, looks like you guys took a lot of notes. Next year, we're gonna send Janet. She's our master note taker. She'll take notes for all of us. Ronnie?
I have one thing to add, because I went to the retreat as well, and he emphasized on taking notes. And he said, don't be afraid to keep your notes with you. Most people don't carry notes because they think, I memorized everything, but he said, I do these seminars thousands of times and I forget. And he said, I have my notes here as well. And he said, keep your notes, you can keep your scripts, your pre-listing in front of you so you can refer to it as you're talking to your clients. And you sound professional because you're hitting every point and you're not forgetting anything.
Yeah, the clients don't care that you have notes in front of you. So a lot of people think they just, they can't have this when they're presenting. But those notes keep that presentation moving forward. That's really what you want to do. You want to keep that presentation moving forward. You don't want to fill it with your own conversations because you're really trying to get to the end point, and that's to get the contract signed and get your listing.
I mean, he even mentioned it. You could just print off his canned listing presentation. You can take it,
read it,
and they're not really going to notice. And then it starts off too is I have 3 very important questions I wrote down for you. So that was a big takeaway too. Is just you take your notes, and it's not going to really matter. Nobody's going to say anything about it.
Was his script different than the Academy's?
No. The funny thing about the Academy too, and I've heard this like all my life, but he's talking and then he just hits the script. By the way, when do you plan on moving? They're asking, well, what do I do with this? By the way, when do you plan on moving? It's the exact same process.
So the scripts work, that's why we use the same scripts. But the thing here is they got a lot from it, and people that have been there in the past, Roy and that, they can all tell you, Thomas can tell you, that there's value in going to these things. So don't be shy to go to some of these conferences. Doesn't mean you always have to buy everything at the conference, and if you're going to buy something, run it by one of the brokers. We'll tell you if we probably have it, it's collecting dust, or it's of value, because we bought everything, haven't we? Right? And so we've been through all these things, and a lot of the Academy is designed off a lot of these trainers all around just taking parts and pieces of it. And they all teach a little bit different stuff. So if you go to Brian Buffini or Mike Ferry or even Tom Ferry, you get different things. So go to those things. Now, when's his next one?
So he has a couple of 2-day events like every month, I think in Dallas, Fort Lauderdale,
Anaheim.
Anaheim. So he has like a 2-day where he condenses it, but he has those pretty much, you can just go look on his website. I think it's the middle of each month if you wanted to attend any of that. And then his big superstar retreat is twice a year. I think it's at the end and then the middle.
Right, but go ahead, Thomas.
Just one thing to throw out too, if you're going to do the superstar retreat in Vegas, don't ever pay the full price. It's normally like $395.
That's right.
Because you live in Vegas, they always do discount. Normally before COVID, it was like $100. This year it was $200 for locals to be paid and actually, so if you go to my card, just create an account, they will call you, guaranteed, because that's what they do.
Yeah, I waited to buy my ticket, and then he had a flash sale with a discount code, and that's when I bought.
And we can always bring him in to speak to a sales meeting, then he'll offer you all a discount at that point too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point. There's always discounts in that. But here's the biggest thing. So who wants to wait another 6 months to be able to get motivated? None of us, right? Now's the time. You've got brokers, you've got support here, you've got people. If you are struggling putting a business plan together or getting your schedule in line or anything else, set an appointment to sit down with one of us. We'd be happy to point you in the right direction and get you started on that stuff so that you can start going. You guys are coming in regularly? You in the office every day, prospecting?
Oh, no.
All right, she will be now.
Janet looking at me.
Right? right? But you guys are coming in, so there's energy there, and as you start to come in and make calls and listen to people on the phone and get outside your comfort zone, because it's not always about what you're saying. Sometimes you're learning from the other people. Like Janet said earlier, she learned a lot by sitting in a cubicle because you hear business going on. So be present, come into the office, and pick up on that stuff. Anything else you guys want to add?
And it's all been really simple stuff. It's nothing been groundbreaking. And he even said it himself. He said, I could sum up this whole 5-day seminar in 4 things: is mindset, skills, activity, and action. That's all you need to know. That's it.
Why didn't we start with that? Do you guys have any questions for them or anything? Yes?
So I'll tell you what, it's a lot cheaper to do the coaching with company within Signature. I believe their coaching packages are around $1,000 a month to $1,500 a month.
Premier.
Premier, so they have different. Yeah.
650 or 1,000.
So they have coaching. There's lots of coaching out there. We have coaching here as well. We have pod coaching. We have individual coaching, stuff like that. So if you're actually interested in coaching, get with one of the brokers. We can talk to you about what we have, talk about what your needs are. If we can't do it, we're going to point you in the right direction of who can for sure. So, anything else? Okay. Thank you guys. Thanks for coming, and let's make it a great week.